The email that I got for tonight's Too Scary Story legitimately scared me. It's probably one of the scariest stories I have ever read. I could not sleep after I read it. It does need a trigger warning for self-harm though. Tonight's submitter did want to remain anonymous, so I'm going to call her Cassie. So Cassie, her husband, and herself and her 2 daughters moved to a house in Dibble, Oklahoma. But they needed more bedrooms, so they had a friend that had a house for rent, and that friend told them to come look at the property. Her father and grandmother came with her to look at the house, but to get to this house, you had to drive through a pasture and into the woods. Now, as soon as they get there, her father and her husband are both like, this is amazing because of all the land for hunting and because it was private in the woods. Cassie doesn't feel that way about it. She gets this feeling like something is off about the house, and she tells her grandmother this. She's like, listen, I don't want to live here. And her grandmother's like, listen, it's beautiful. I know it's a little rundown, but we'll clean it up, we'll make it nice, and it will be beautiful. You will love it. So they decide to take it and they move in. Well, immediately after moving in, little things start happening. They start hearing sounds throughout the house, but nothing major. Constant feeling of being watched. Well, Cassie is trying to acclimate the best that she can, so she's just ignoring this stuff. Well, one day, her and her husband decide to go on a date, and they leave his mother to watch her youngest daughter. So Cassie and her husband go on a date. They're having a really good time, but then his mother calls, and she asks a very strange question. She asks what Cassie's grandfather looks like. Now, Cassie's grandfather is no longer with us, so Cassie finds this question to be incredibly odd, but she answers it anyways, and she tells her what her grandfather looks like. And at that point, she goes, well, I just saw him standing in the backyard. And she's like, what? And she said, yeah. And then after I saw him standing in the backyard, there was a jacket sitting on the kitchen table, and it just flew off the table. So then Cassie is like, oh, that's the sounds that I've been hearing and the feelings of being watched. It's just my papa. He's just watching over me. I was definitely a papa's girl. He's just there watching over me. Like, that's what this was. I'm not scared anymore. She just felt comforted. But things would take a turn, and it would become very clear that that was not her papa. So something that's important to note is that her brother was a Satanist, and something was going on in his house right now that was really terrorizing his family. For instance, his son was sleeping in his bed one night when all of a sudden something crawled out from underneath the bed, grabbed him by the ankles, and yanked him off of the bed. A couple days later, Cassie is with her father, and her father gets a phone call from her brother, and her brother is on the phone, except for it is not her brother. It is not her brother who is speaking. Something is speaking through him, telling them to come over to his house. They could physically hear that it was not her brother's voice. So Cassie and her dad are like, okay, we have to go over there with a pastor, and we have to try to help him. So they go over there with a pastor, and the minute they walk through the door, they see her brother, and his eyes are completely white. There are no color to his eyes. Her brother then jumps up really fast and slaps her dad's hand away from him, and then suddenly goes from being very aggressive to crying. She knew that whatever this was, her brother was trying to fight it. So being a good sister, and being that that is part of her family, she is obviously trying to help him, and because she tried to help him, she thinks that she brought something to her new house. So she goes back to her house that night, and slowly but surely her kids become completely terrified of the house. They will not sleep in their bedrooms by themselves. They're constantly sleeping with their parents. They keep explaining that they are seeing a tall, dark figure with red eyes in both of their rooms. She also had crosses all over her house, and she would go to bed and she would wake up in the morning and the crosses would all be flipped upside down, and this happened to her numerous times. Cassie started to change. She started to isolate herself tremendously. She would not come out of her room. She didn't want to come out of her room. She started waking up every single day with scratches and bruises all over her body. She was constantly wanting to listen to devil worship music and watch gory movies. Well, one day, her and her husband are playing PlayStation. They're playing Call of Duty when suddenly they hear this scream come from their daughter that they had never heard before. She said it was like this blood-curdling scream. It was horrific. She runs into the room where her daughter is, and her daughter just says, "Get me out of this house! Get me out! I want to go to Nanny's!" Cassie is like, what is wrong? What did you see? And they couldn't get out of her at first, but finally she tells her that she saw Cassie walk into her bedroom. She is hysterical at this point. So Cassie is like, okay, I'm going in there to see what's going on. And as soon as Cassie starts walking into the bedroom, her daughter starts screaming again, begging her not to go into that room, telling her that whatever is in there for Cassie. So they all decide to leave and go to her parents' house. And when they come back, the daughter won't come back with them, so only her and her husband come back, and they don't know what to do at this point. Well, Cassie was just getting worse and worse, and she said that every other thought that she was having was a thought about hurting herself, and she couldn't take it anymore. So she told her mother-in-law about it, who is a sensitive, and the mother-in-law came over to try to get whatever this was out of their house. So her mother-in-law walks into the house and walks into one of the bedrooms, and she literally gets picked up off of the ground and thrown against the wall, and she smacks her head against one of the headboards. So they have finally had enough, and they're like, we have to get a pastor involved. Someone has to stop this. So they go to their pastor, and their pastor is like, listen, I'm going to find somebody to help you, and in the meantime, I am also going to try to help you. While that is going on and they're trying to find help, her youngest daughter starts going nuts. One night they were in the house, and her youngest daughter just attacks both her and her oldest daughter just out of nowhere, and she destroys everything in the living room, just acting like a wild animal. She then grabs a sharp object and starts running at them, trying to them. So her husband comes home from work early and he's like, listen, I have to go to the pastor's office. So he goes straight there and the pastor is like, listen, we have some people from Texas who can come over and help your family. Will you let them? And they're like, yes. Well, as soon that it was known that they were about to get help from a pastor, everything got so much worse. It was almost like whatever was in that house knew. It started attacking Cassie. Multiple, like she was going nuts. She said that at one point her eyes even turned black. She did not want those people showing up. Well, they did the next morning. And when they came, they explained everything that was going on and it all started. This part absolutely terrified me. She said as soon as they started the deliverance, her daughter got down on all fours, crawled like a wild animal super fast into a closet, shut the closet door, and then the closet door slowly opened back up and her daughter was just standing there like this. Out of nowhere, she starts crawling out of the closet. She bends backwards, crawls up her ladder of her bunk bed backwards, jumps back forward, and crouches down like a gargoyle on her bed. She then just stares at Cassie for what felt like 2 minutes, and then she jumps up off the bed. She walks over to Cassie, and she just stands there and stares at her, like stares right into her soul. As her daughter is standing there, she goes to attack her mother. The people grab her. They start praying louder and louder and louder, and finally it stops, and her daughter just all of a sudden changes. She's normal again. And she's like, Mommy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's just crying, hugging her mom. The deliverance did end up working and they did end up finding a new house. But the day before they moved, she saw what had been attacking her. Now, she didn't say exactly what this thing looked like, but she did say that her daughter suffers from PTSD now. And she also suffers from self-harming thoughts, like the worst kind, and also harms herself. Her whole family is completely traumatized by this incident, and she thinks that her brother, it was the collateral damage from trying to help her brother with the demon or whatever was going on with him. So what do you guys think about that story? Oh my god, the part where her daughter was like crawling backwards up on that railing to get on top of the bunk bed, that absolutely terrified me. She did also give me the names of all the demons that she thinks that they were, because her brother did some research and he knows a lot about that stuff because he was a Satanist. So he did say that he knows what demons they were. She named them in the email, but I'm not going to name them here. So what do you guys think it was? Do you think it was demonic? Do you think it was a mimic? I mean, there was a lot of mimic behavior here, but I know that demons can also mimic people. I just want to say that I'm so sorry that your family went through this. This sounds incredibly traumatizing, and I really hope that you find peace. I don't really have time to do the commentary because I have to get into the shout outs and I have barely any time left, but I do want to know what your thoughts are, what you thought this was, and maybe just tell them how you think they can help themselves get past the PTSD that they're obviously experiencing. That would be also awesome, you guys. Thank you. And now I'm going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Sigma Boy 237. You said, can I get a hi from my favorite creator? Of course you can. Hi. Thank you so much. That was so sweet to call me your favorite creator. That is so nice. I love hearing that. That's my favorite. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching my content. Thank you for commenting and pushing my video out. I appreciate you being a part of this little community. It means absolutely everything to me, and I just love you. Summer Love 008. You said that my stories bring you so much happiness. I love hearing that. Thank you so much for telling me that. I love that my stories are bringing people happiness. I hope that I help you guys in some way. Spooky stories help me, so I am so glad to hear that they help people in some way. That makes me feel so good. Thank you so much for being a part of my little community. Thank you for watching my content. Thank you for pushing out my videos with your comments. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much. I love you, girl. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button, and I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
So whatever you do, don't make a deal with a water spirit. I am back with part 2 of this spooky story. So Lita made a deal with the mermaid, and he got everything he wanted. Money, businesses flowing, new car, and he's able to take care of his pregnant girlfriend. However, all of that will come crashing down when Mermaid will come back to collect. Now, Lisa started experiencing weird things. At first, it was very subtle, easy to ignore, but then later on, he really couldn't ignore them. At first, it was the tapping sound coming from his bathroom, not being able to stand in sunlight for too long, and no one knew what that was about. Every time he would go to take a shower, even if he was indoors, the water would smell like the ocean. No matter where he was, he became paranoid that the spirit was around him, watching him. Well, eventually, he started having nightmares. In a dream that he had, a mermaid spirit came to him. One that he didn't remember this face before, because this particular spirit to him is hideous. Looked like their skin was peeling, long, thin black hair, scary, jagged teeth. Lita probably thinking that he was gonna get eaten alive. But the spirit told him that it was time for him to come to the water and pay his debts. BK says despite everything going on beneath the surface, Lita's life on Earth was going pretty well. So he didn't want to return to the water. Every night that he would go to sleep, the more and more he refused to return, he would have these horrific dreams where he's being attacked by these creatures. And in real time, he would wake up with bruises all over his body. It got to a point where Lita was so stressed that he refuses to go to sleep. So he started using drugs to escape. And it wasn't shortly after that that he started coming across like a crazy man, running up and down the streets warning people that these mermaid spirits are after him. Things got so bad. Remember how Lita's girlfriend was pregnant? She went from having a perfectly healthy pregnancy to one day just miscarried. The baby just died. At that point, Lita's family took him in. They did a lot of prayers on him. They bathed him a lot. And it looked like Lita was like in this state of psychosis. It took him months of prayers and holy baths for him to finally get back to a point where he was making sense again. Well, his girlfriend left him and he also lost everything. And his car exploded. All in all, Lita got nothing. So BK wants y'all to know, take it from her cousin. Do not make a deal with mermaid spirits. Now, I know I took a couple of days to get back with part 2, but it's my birthday week. And today is my birthday. Hold the applause. No, seriously. You'll have to come back later to see my birthday look. Alright, y'all. I love y'all. Until the next spooky story from your favorite Haitian homegirl. What is going on in South Africa? This guy sold his soul to a mermaid spirit. I am back with another spooky story. This one is yet another submission from Eastern Cape, South Africa. Yeah. The person said, I'd like to stay anonymous because even now, I still don't feel safe telling this story. I'm gonna call the person who submitted this story BK. BK says that she's from Eastern Cape near, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Mtata? Where she grew up, people always warned them about, again, sorry if I butcher this, Abantu Bomlambo. Water spirits, mermaids, the ones who grant gifts but take something in return. BK never believed any of it. But her cousin, who we'll call Lita, believed a little too much. Lita was 22 when it all started. He was desperate. No job, no money, his girlfriend was pregnant and he felt like a failure. One night, he told BK that he found a woman who can help him become rich in 7 days. BK thought it was a scam, but the way his eyes looked, it was like something had already convinced him. And he told her that she's not human, she's from the river. BK's thinking he's joking, until she started to notice certain things. He kept waking up with wet clothes. There were wet footprints that led to his bedroom, as if someone was visiting him at night. He said that he was dreaming of this woman with blue skin, long locks floating under the water. The eyes glowed white. She kept calling his name, saying that she could give him everything. Lita told BK that he was scared, but he was tempted. One night around 3 a.m., BK woke up to him pacing outside, shirtless, mumbling something. And when she approaches him, he realized like he wasn't talking, he was actually chanting. She asked him, bro, what are you doing? And he told her, I'm being summoned. And his voice sounded weird and distorted. BK's like, he's losing it. I don't have time for this. She goes back inside. Well, the next morning, he was gone. And they searched for him for hours until someone shouted from the riverbank. When they got there, Lita was standing waist deep in the water, eyes rolled back, whispering something to the water, and the river wasn't calm. It looked like it was swirling all around him. Before they could reach him, he dropped under. Everybody is screaming. The uncle jumps in, tries to swim to him. After a minute, Lita just floats back up, unconscious but alive. When he woke up that evening, he didn't remember much of anything. But he kept saying she accepted the offer. A week later, he had money, a car, a new phone. Lita went around telling people that his newfound fortune actually came from a business opportunity, but everybody around him knew better. While enjoying his newfound wealth, well, strange things started happening. He couldn't stand sunlight anymore. He kept hearing voices coming from the bathroom. Every morning, he would wake up with his feet covered in river mud. Sometimes he would wake up in various places that he doesn't remember going to. One night, BK heard him crying from his room. She opened the door. There he was, sitting on the floor, shaking. He told her she's coming to collect, but what he didn't know was that she wanted him in return. And that's when everything got worse. Maybe don't accept anything from mermaid spirits, guys. This story is spooky as fuck. I already know I'm gonna have to make y'all come back for a part 2. But you also can't say anything because I dropped another video today. So this is two spooky stories in one day. And also, you can't be rude. It's my birthday week. So, comment part 2. I'll be back very soon, sooner than you think.
My neighbors are really starting to creep me out and I can't take it anymore. I wasn't gonna say anything, but let me just set the scene for you. Okay, so I moved into this place literally years ago. I was the first one on the block, right? So then all of a sudden they start building these townhomes literally directly behind me. I'm really frustrated about this, by the way, because my landlord never mentioned that there was gonna be anyone behind me, and I will get to that later. Let's get into the good stuff. The freaking neighbors. What's going on? This all started last October. My birthday's October 4th. So it was a few days before that because my mom and sister came over to take some pictures for my birthday. As we're standing in the backyard taking a couple of pictures, I'm holding a cake. I'm holding a cake that says 29. You can tell it's my birthday. And I was taking pictures with my mom. My sister was taking them. All of a sudden I see one of my neighbors pop out. And she doesn't just like come outside and naturally is doing whatever she's doing. She comes outside and she's just staring. She's just staring at us like couldn't care less. This isn't an older lady, by the way. They're all about my age. So really freaking weird. And they all have kids. I'm getting there, but it's not just one neighbor. It's three. It's three. I digress. So going back, oh my gosh, as I'm saying this, one just came outside. You're joking. I'm telling you guys, I'm 1 minute into this video. I'm not kidding when I tell you, I cannot go to any of my windows, be anywhere near a window where like a neighbor back there might be able to see me without them coming outside and just staring at me. Girl, what? What do you want? Like, she's just staring. I'm on the second level right now. I'm in my bedroom filming, and I know she can hear me too, because I can hear every little thing that goes on outside. Sorry, I'm so flustered. I feel like that this video is really just gonna be a jumbled mess, and watch. Her little thing 1 and thing 2 are gonna come out next. So anyway, that birthday one was really creepy because, so basically the girl that's staring at me right now is in house number 1, then there's house number 2, and house number 3. As far as I've seen, none of these girls know each other. I've never seen them interact. I've never seen these people talk to each other. Nothing. The only one I've seen is that the one in the middle talks to the one that's directly next to me. Like, she's not in the back. She's lived here since I lived here. So I don't know how those two know each other. I feel freaking awkward and my anxiety's through the roof because this girl can literally hear everything I'm saying, which is what she wants, I'm sure. So since that first time in October on my birthday, I'm not kidding, every single time I've been outside, I've been near a window, I've been in my kitchen, wherever they can see me in the house, they immediately come out. And this is the weird thing. Their blinds will all be closed, their curtains will be closed, and somehow they still freaking know as soon as I'm near a window or I'm outside. So here's the kicker. The one in the middle is the one that really irks me. She is the one that first did it, and she is the one who will just stand and stare. I started staring back, and she doesn't break. She doesn't stop. She just keeps staring at me. I literally feel like I can't live in my own house. Like, it's actually starting to irritate me because I was the first freaking person to live here, and then they all come in. Like, this building wasn't even here. It wasn't even here, and I'm so frustrated because, like, I've loved living in this place, but I actually feel like this is a deal breaker, and I'm gonna have to move when my lease is up. Okay, I'm sorry to do this, but go to part 2.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the condom. Okay? Then, you want to take it a step further, put the condom over a light. At that point, you're going to see a homemade lava lamp. Not gabbing though.
Everyone I know has been telling me that I should tell this story on TikTok because it's the craziest situation ever. So I'm bored enough today that I'm going to do it. So here's the story of the scariest thing that has ever happened to me and a lesson on why you need to take precautions when staying in a hotel, especially by yourself. So I'm in Grand Prairie, Texas for a work trip, which is a suburb of Dallas. I get to the hotel, everything's fine and normal. I get there and I do shower the first night I'm there. I sleep, I've stayed in that hotel so many times before, and then I go to work the next day. I end up getting back at like 11-ish p.m. and I decide to take another shower because I've been outside all day. I get in the shower and I look out the shower curtain and I'm like, is that a message on the mirror? So I turn off the shower and the steam has steamed up the mirror and there's a message that has been put on the mirror, fingerprint smudged in there. And it said there's a camera behind here with a little circle with explosions. And so I'm freaking out. I get out of the shower and I call one of my bosses and I'm like, hey, what should I do? And she's like, you need to leave. And so I went down to the front desk and I was like, hey girl, this is really crazy. I have a picture of this. This wasn't here last night when I showered. It's here now. The mirror says, there's a camera behind here. This poor 18-year-old girl working the front desk is also freaking out because it's late at night. Keep in mind, I got in at 11 p.m. And she's like, we don't really have another room for you to go to. Like, our hotel is full, but you can, like, check out. And I was like, yeah, I'll check out. And so I check out, and then it gets crazier. So I check out, and keep in mind it's late, and the only hotel that has openings is like 30 minutes away. And it's in a really nice area of Texas called Southlake, Texas. So I get in my rental car, and I drive to Southlake, Texas, and I check into the hotel, and everything's fine and normal. So I go to my room, I sit on my hotel bed, and I'm FaceTiming my boyfriend, and then the landline phone to the hotel rings, like the room. And so I was like, oh, I checked in late, like maybe they need my credit card information or something. So I pick up the phone. On the other end of the phone is an old man's voice, and he was like, hello, I've seen you in Dallas. I wanted to let you know I thought you were pretty, Grace. So he knew my name. So my heart drops to the bottom of my stomach, and the only thing I can tell my boyfriend on the phone is like, I need to go, like I need to leave here right now, like someone is following me, I need to go right now. So I go down to the lobby, and I'm like, I'm gonna call the police. So I call the police show up, and they're like, did he make a threat to you on the phone? And I was like, no. I hung up on him before he could tell me more, but he knew my name and where I was. And so they were like, well, he didn't make a threat, so there's nothing we can do. We can ask the hotel to turn over their phone records, but they don't have to. The hotel front desk man was like, we won't show you the phone records, but we'll tell you them. Her room has received no phone calls tonight. And I'm like freaking out, crying. I'm like, obviously that's not true. Like, that's not true. That's not true. And the police were like, there's nothing we can do. They checked all my stuff for trackers. There was no trackers on anything. I ended up, one of my bosses that same one I called, lived in Texas, so I went to stay at her apartment. But literally what? So stay safe out there. Don't be going to hotels unless you absolutely have to.
As many of you know, I grew up in deep Appalachia. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia. And there are times where I'll tell my friends stories from what happened to me when I lived out there, and they're like, what? I already posted about my UFO story last year, and that video got to like 3 million views. But today, I'm going to tell you guys the story of when I was a kid and I encountered a skinwalker, or at least what I thought was a skinwalker. I hate long intros, so I'm just going to get into the story. The place I lived was a place called Jasper, Georgia. It's right next to LJ, and I lived in the place where the show Squidbillies was based on, and we have a Squidbillies shrine in our town center. I had a friend that I would stay with pretty often, and her family owned a 300-acre farm, and when I say family, it's just her and her mom who live there, and so they have like all these farm animals, and they have different parts of their land that you have to walk through trails in the woods to get through. Like, in order to get to one barn, you have to walk through the woods for like 10 minutes just to get there. So there was one day that I was sleeping over there, and we had been home alone all day. I was probably in 3rd grade when this happened. Some of you might ask why me and my friend were just like 2 3rd graders alone on this farm. And it was because my parents were getting a divorce, and so I needed a place to go, so I pretty much lived with this girl at the time. But back to the story. So my friend's mom was on the way home, but I guess there was like a lot of traffic, or she was running late or something. So she called my friend, and she asked her if we could like go down to one of the barns and feed the horses before we went to bed. So at this point in time, it was probably like 8 o'clock. The sun was going down. It was about to be nighttime. You could still see the sun and the light when you're in the open field, but in the woods, it was like pretty dark. Like there was no sunlight. So my friend and I started walking through the pasture to the woods, and she had a flashlight with her. We got to the woods, she turned the flashlight on, and we started walking. We were walking for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes through these woods, so we're about halfway through the trail, and we're just talking about some shit and laughing, and then all of a sudden, my friend just stops talking, and, like, I was kind of just, like, looking at her, like, as we were speaking. I wasn't really looking in front of me, and then she just, like, drops the flashlight and starts sprinting in the opposite direction, like, back to the house. And so I was like, "You okay, Rebecca?" And, because that was her name, and I turn and I see her sprinting, and the flashlight was just, like, on the floor in front of me, and I was like, what the fuck? So I turned back in front of me, and I just see, like, maybe, like, 10 feet away, this gigantic, like, white figure, and I didn't look at it for long, but just, like, the sheer height of this thing, whatever the fuck it was, scared me so badly, that I looked at it and immediately was, like, fight or flight mode. Like, I felt danger. So, right when I looked at it, I turned the other way and fucking booked it. I was running faster than I'd ever ran before. So fast that I passed my friend, and I was, like, running and pissing my pants at the same time. Like, that's how fucking scary it was. And so I ran all the way back to her house, and in my brain I was like, what is the one place I can hide right now, where no one will find me? And the only thing I could think of was, like, I just ran to the laundry room and I got in the dryer. And so I was just sitting in the dryer, and it was, like, one of those old school dryers. It wasn't, like, plastic clear cover, so it was just, like, a white door that closes it from the front. And so I was just in there. I was, like, curled up in a ball, and I waited, like, I don't know, what seemed like 15-20 minutes. I was just in there covered in piss, and eventually I thought that whatever the fuck was in the woods had, like, killed my friend, and so I was just crying, and, like, I was freaking out, but I was also terrified and didn't want to die, so I was just sitting in there. And then eventually, my friend walks through the door, and I can tell that she's crying, and she's, like, hyperventilating. She's like, like, I hear that. And so I opened the dryer, and she's, like, scared when I open it, obviously. And I was just, like, also crying, and we hug each other, and I was like, where did you go? And so she told me that she had ran, and she got into, like, this trailer that was kind of near the house, because it was the only place she could think of to hide. And so we were both hiding, and I guess she just, like, mustered up the courage to run to the main house. And so we were both just, like, trying to explain what we saw and, like, put together whatever the fuck that was. And this was, like, 2008, maybe 2009. So I think I was, like, 12 or something when this happened, but this was way before, like, creepypasta or, like, any of these stories were, like, even around. So we couldn't even put a name to, like, what the fuck we saw out there. And so when her mom finally got home, we tried to explain what just happened, and she just, like, dismissed us, and she was like, you girls are just, like, overreacting. You guys saw a bear or, like, a deer or something, which is still terrifying if we saw a bear, but it definitely was not a bear, because this thing was, like, pure white. And in the dark, it's, like, the only thing you can really see is, like, if there's someone standing in front of you with a white t-shirt, like, you're gonna see that. But this thing was completely white, and that's all I remember is just, like, this gigantic, like, 7 or 8 foot tall thing just, like, standing right in front of me, staring at me. And so I'm not friends with this girl anymore. I haven't talked to her in probably, like, 15 years. But I just remember that story, and I remember being so scared that I pissed myself. And the only thing I could think of that being is, like, a skinwalker. So maybe that is a skinwalker. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I've never told that on here, so I hope you guys were entertained and enjoyed it, and maybe got scared. But anyways, later this week I'm gonna post another story about the Appalachian feral people, because I think I also had an experience with that when I was younger. there was a lot of weird shit that happened. But yeah, thank you guys.
We were almost kidnapped on Halloween night, story time. On Halloween of 99, me and my friend were 14, and every year our town throws a big party, but we never got to go because our parents wouldn't let us. So this year we decided we were going to sneak out and go to that party. We tell our parents the big lie. She's staying with me, I'm staying with her, but we're actually staying somewhere else. So we get all dressed up, and then we have those people drop us off on Main Street around 5 o'clock. We're dancing, talking to older people, walking around town thinking we're Mr. Big Stuff, having the time of our lives doing adult things. Or at least we were up until 11:30 when everything started to close down and we didn't have a ride home. Yep, we were straight up dumbasses. We didn't even think about how we were going to get home. So now after everyone left, Main Street was like ghost town and we were stuck walking alone. Well, it was midnight in 1999. We didn't have cell phones or Wi-Fi, so we had to find a payphone. So everyone we call is either gone or in bed, and it takes forever to get people to answer, but I finally get up with someone. And he was like, well, I'm not home right now, but I'll be coming through there, so when I see you on the side of the road, I'll pick you up. We stood there, and my friend was like, look, why don't we just go ahead and start walking home? At least we'll be halfway there by the time he picks us up, so we leave. We're walking down this long, dark highway in between the city and our house, and it's normally really busy during the day, but late at night, there's nobody out. And there were barely any street lights, so it was really dark too. About 5 minutes into our walk, this truck comes pulling up beside of us and rolls down a window and says, hey, you girls need a ride? And when I looked in the window, I said, no, we're good. There was something in that man's eyes. I knew he was trouble. But my friend was stressing about getting home, and she was like, Alicia, let's take this ride. I said, no, girl, I'm telling you, Everything in my body was telling me, you need to avoid that man. Run now. So I grabbed her arm, and now we're linked up real tight side by side, and he says, are you sure you girls don't need a ride? And I said, no, sir, we're good. As he drove off, he said, good night, little kitties. Y'all be safe out there now. And I got chills. It creeped me the fuck out. So on this road is a little detour that will get you to our house a lot faster. So we take that right. 10 minutes into that detour, here comes that truck pulling up behind us again. He says, just get in the truck. I can't live myself if I left 2 young girls out here and then something happened to y'all. Just come on, I'll give you a ride. It's no problem. Again, I look in the window and say, no, we're good. Just go ahead. We stay right here. We'll be fine. Then he looked at my friend and said, well, do you want to ride? I said, no, she don't want to ride. We don't take rides from strangers. We're fine. Just go. And then he drove off. This guy was really starting to sketch out my friend, so she was getting paranoid and anxiety. She said, Alicia, he's following us. He's going to come back. He's going to try to kidnap us. Watch, I'm telling you. And I said, all right, just calm down. So we walk up on this old property, like behind the house onto the porch, and we sit there for a good 20 minutes. As we're hiding on this porch, we see that man's truck come around the drive again. He even slowed down in front of the house that we had just ran behind, and my friend was like, how did he know that? He was already gone by the time we got here. He's following us, Alicia. Now, I was starting to freak out too, and I'm like, dude, we have to get back on the highway. My man's not going to be able to find us if we're not on the highway. So we start walking into the edge of the woods, and a car came by, so we looked out, but it wasn't my man. It was a stranger, and they kept going. We jumped back in the woods and continued walking through the marsh when we see that truck come by again, and he slows down, and he's got a fucking spotlight looking out in the woods. He was shining that light so slowly, trying to find us. I felt like a deer in headlights, like how an animal knows when a predator's stalking it. That was how I felt. My soul was telling me, you better not let that man get you, or he's going to kill you. Once we got up to this next section, we'd have to walk out in the middle of nowhere. So I told Brittany, look, when we get to that area, you're going to have to run. I know it's hard. It's going to be rough because she had diabetes, but I kept stalling. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because we can't stop, Brittany. Once we start running, we have to go. And she assured me, yes, I can run. No problem. Let's go. So we get up that stop sign, we grab each other, and we take off running. Man must have been sitting and waiting. Here he come from behind the building, stomping the gas on the truck, running behind us. So we would run as far as we could, drop down and duck, and then run again, trying to get away. And he's got his spotlight out, trying to shine us with it. I got chills because we could hear him saying, here, kitty, kitty, come on out, kitties. I didn't even turn around. I just kept running because I knew if we get up those woods, we could hide. She tripped and fell over them fucking shoes, and I snatched her up by her damn arm like I was not going to get caught. When we finally get up to the last intersection, we're about 15 minutes from our house at this point. And then we seen that guy's truck turning around and coming back. I was like, oh my God, why won't this man leave us alone? And where's my guy that I called to come get us? At that point, my friend could not run no more. She was already so out of it and tired and couldn't breathe, and her chest was hurting and her legs was cramping, and she couldn't go any further. I said, look, I don't want to split up, but I got to be on the side of that road when he comes through. So I left her laying there, and then I went and hid in the ditch on the side of the road and stayed squatted down where nobody could see me. I run out the road, and my man drove right past me and didn't see me the first time. And I'm standing out here like a sitting duck, and now this guy who's now walking with a spotlight shines it right on my face and says, you girls are going to come with me. I said, no, we're not. And I took off running down the highway barefoot. And then that was when my man was turning around. He come back towards us, and I jumped in the car. I start calling out for my friend, but she's not answering, and I thought for sure that man had gotten her, but here she come crawling out the ditch covered in leaves and mud. So we scoop her up and put her in the car, and then we start driving home, and then we see headlights behind us. That man is still following us. So instead of leading him to our house, we decided to go into the swamp. So we stomped the gas, hit the back roads, and before we knew it, he was gone. We lost him. So we come dragging in the next morning, and my parents were fuming, but once I told them what happened, they were like, damn, I'm just glad y'all were alive. So we didn't get in trouble because they knew we learned our lesson.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
A ghostly warning, story time. In July of 1989, 16-year-old Sophia rode with her best friend, 19-year-old Kristen, to the beach. They spend the whole day laying out on the beach, drinking drinks and eating snacks, talking about boys. Throughout the day, Kristen tells Sophia that she's met this boy whose name is Matthew, and they've been dating for 2 or 3 months, but she doesn't want her family to know because he's a little bit older than her. Well, Kristen had some bruises on her arm, and Sophia asked, "Did he do that to you?" And Kristen said, "Yeah, sometimes he gets really angry, but it's not his fault." So Sophia, being the good best friend that she was, she tells Kristen, "You know you can go to your parents, your grandparents. You can tell my big brother, and they'll kick his ass. Don't let him treat you that way. You deserve better." Kristen responds, "Look, you're a lot younger than me, so you don't understand the situation. I'm pregnant by him. Like, we have a relationship. This is serious." Sophia said, "Oh my God, you're pregnant? Why didn't you tell me? You're my best friend." And Kristen said, "Because I don't want nobody to know. You have to keep it a secret." Sophia said, "Well, if he treats you that way, how do you think he's going to treat the baby?" Kristen said, "He would never hurt the baby. He just hits me because he gets jealous. But don't worry, everything's fine. Me and the baby are going to be fine. He loves us. So let's just have a good day. Let's not talk about this no more." So around 6 p.m., it's getting dark. So the girls decide they need to leave. But right when they get to the state line, they see this girl walking on the side of the road. And Kristen says, "I'm going to give her a ride." Sophia said, "We don't know her. She could be a serial killer." Kristen said, "I can't leave her out here. She's a young girl." So they pulled over and this girl gets in the back seat. Sophia says, "What's your name?" She says, "Angel." They said, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'm just going right up here, not far." So as they're driving, Sophia and Kristen continue talking about the baby, whether they think it's going to be a boy or a girl. And that's when Angel chimes in and says, "If you and that baby want to live, you better not tell him." Kristen said, "What is wrong with you? Why would you say that?" Angel said, "I'm telling you, his name is Matthew. He is married. And if you tell him you're pregnant with his child, he will marry you." Kristen said, "Well, how did you know his name? Do you know him?" Angel said, "I'm warning you, leave that man alone. He's going to hurt you and your baby." And Sophia was getting really scared because she's wondering, how did she know his name? This is a total stranger they just picked up. Kristen slams on the brakes and says, "You don't know me or my boyfriend, and I don't want you in my car. You need to get out. Like, that's messed up." So Angel grabs her bag and she gets out of the back seat. And before she shuts the door, she said, "Kristen, I'm warning you, leave that man alone. If you want to live and you want to see your baby grow up, don't tell him you're pregnant. Just leave him alone." Kristen said, "Whatever, you don't know me. Don't tell me what to do. Just get the hell out of my car." So Angel got out, slammed the door shut, and she took off walking, and Kristen and Sophia left off driving. As they're riding, Sophia starts to get the feeling like maybe Angel knows what she's talking about. She says, "Kristen, look, just give it a month. Wait a month. Don't tell him that you're pregnant. Like, I got a really bad feeling about this." Kristen said, "Oh my God, Sophia, don't start that. We don't even know her. She's a stranger. She's just trying to scare us." Sophia said, "But how did she know Matthew's name? That's weird. Like, how would she know your boyfriend's name?" And Kristen said, "Maybe she recognized me from school. Maybe she recognized his name. She could be an ex-girlfriend of his who's jealous. I don't know. Maybe it was a lucky guess. Either way, we don't know her like that. She's making it up." Sophia said, "Look, you're my best friend and I love you. I don't want nothing bad to happen to you, so please don't tell him." Kristen said, "I have to. It's his baby." Sophia said, "Well, at least wait a month and then we'll tell him together." Kristen said, "That's fine. Okay, I'll wait a month and then we'll tell him together. That way you can see he's not going to flip out on me. He loves me." So she drops Sophia off at her house and then she goes home. And like 3 days later, Kristen calls Sophia in the middle of the night. She's crying. Sophia said, "Whoa, just calm down. What's going on?" Kristen said, "I told him. I had to go ahead and tell him. And he was so angry. Like, he cussed me out. Then he told me that he's been married for 12 years. I didn't even know he had a wife or a family. Like, I thought he was just single and living by himself because he never told me he was married. He threw an ashtray at my head. He kicked me out the car. He refused to take me home. He made it very clear he doesn't want this baby and he doesn't want me. He told me I needed to go get rid of it. And then he got in the car and he sped off." Sophia said, "Why did you tell him?" "I told you, don't tell him." Kristen said, "We were just in the moment and like I felt like I needed to be honest with him, so I did." And Sophia said, "Oh my God, everything Angel said is coming true. She told you he was married and he's married. She told you he was going to hurt you, and he has. Like, this is going to get worse. You need to stay away from him." So a couple days later, Kristen comes and picks Sophia up, and they go out to eat. And while they're sitting in the restaurant, they see this red car driving around the parking lot, and it keeps stopping in front of Kristen's car, and it keeps stopping in front of the restaurant door like they're trying to look in. Kristen ducks down and says, "That's Matthew and his wife. What are they doing here?" Sophia said, "It looks like they're looking for you. They keep stopping at your car, and they're looking in here like they're waiting on us to come out. No, I'm calling my parents." So Sophia calls her parents, and they come to the restaurant, and by the time they get there, the red car's gone. That's when Sophia tells her family everything that's been going on with Kristen, and her family says, "Look, we don't want you riding off with her no more. It's getting dangerous." Mom says she can come to the house and she can stay. I don't mind, but you cannot leave with her, and you are not to go to her house. That next week, Sophia and Kristen went back to school, and things were kind of getting back on track up until that Wednesday. Sophia tried to call Kristen over and over and over and could not get an answer. Sophia tells her parents, "I've been trying to call Kristen all day and all night, and I haven't been able to get up with her. Will you please take me to her house?" So Sophia's daddy drives her over to Kristen's mom's house, and they see Kristen's mother walking out the door, and they say, "Have you seen Kristen?" And she says, "No, I haven't heard from her since last night. I'm going to file a missing person report right now. Do you want to come with me?" So they all went together. When they get to the sheriff's department, the police tell them, "You can't file a report because it hasn't been 24 hours yet." Kristen's mom said, "I don't give a damn. She's a 19-year-old girl out there by herself. She's pregnant. We need to find her." Sophia said, "But that's not all. She's pregnant by a married man, Matthew, and him and his wife have been following her around town. We saw him the other day." The sheriff said, "Wait, Kristen's pregnant by Matthew blank? That Matthew?" Sophia said, "Yeah, what about it?" The sheriff said, "Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to file a missing person report. Y'all just go on home and I'll let you know what I find out." And the sheriff left to go over to Matthew's house and talk to him. When the sheriff got to Matthew's house, Matthew and his wife were not home. And the sheriff was shining his light out on the driveway, the pavement, and he saw spots of blood, and he knew right then this was not good. The sheriff dispatched a few units to go out and look for Matthew's car, his wife's car, and Kristen's car, but nobody could find them. It wasn't until the next morning around 10 a.m. that a police unit found Kristen's car abandoned in a grocery store parking lot. Her purse was in the car, her hat and mittens were in the seat, there was blood on the door handle, and the sheriff knew right then this was not good. Something bad happened. So Sophia goes home and tells her parents all about the day they went to the beach. They picked up this girl and warned Kristen that she better stop messing with him. Sophia said, "I just wish she would have listened. I just knew something bad was going to happen. Like, after that girl told us that, something in my gut told me this guy was bad news. I ain't never even met him." Her dad said, "Look, don't be like that. Let's just keep the hope and keep praying that she comes home, and hopefully she will." But Sophia knew in her gut Kristen was already dead by this point, and she was right. 2 days later, a hunter was out walking along the woods across the state line when he found this, what looked like a shallow grave. So he kicks the leaves off the top of it, and that's when he sees a nose, and it was Kristen. Matthew and his wife were arrested, and they confessed to the police that Matthew had murdered Kristen, and his wife helped him cover up the evidence. Matthew was sentenced to 60 years in prison, and his wife got 20 years in prison. To this day, Sophia says she still thinks about Angel and the way she warned Kristen, and it came true. I don't know, but it sounds to me like she got a warning from beyond the grave, or maybe that was her guardian angel. I'm a believer. I think there are certain beings or spirits that are sent to us to warn us, and whether we listen or not is our choice.
You guys, I'm fucking freaking out. Okay, my son is gone. He's not home. He's at a party. Yeah, I know I look like shit. I don't care. I just got woken up. There's been a mimic here for a couple weeks. When my daughter's not here, I hear her say my name and she's not there. I ignore it because I know it's a mimic. I have seen it on here. My daughter's home, but my son's not home. My son is the only one that lives upstairs. The only one upstairs. All night since he's been gone, I keep hearing like the door close, like it'll just shut. But sorry. So anyway, so my son's not home, but I keep hearing the door shut. But there's nobody up there. There's nobody up there. I'm gonna see if I could try to. And let me take you guys. I'll take you guys up there and show you there's nobody up there. But let's see if we can catch it. I'm so scared. Normally I don't get scared, but hearing the door close like a freaking human is up there, and I already went up there once and I checked, and nobody or nothing was up there. So I went up there and I checked all the rooms and in the attic, and there's nobody up there, but I keep hearing his bedroom door close, or like somebody's walking up there, but he's not here. I don't know what my dog's barking at. But I hope we catch it on camera because this is freaking creeping me out. I'm at the stairs right now. Did you hear that? It sounds like somebody's walking up there. Bro, my fucking eyes are watering. This is scaring me. Hold on. Oh my god, as soon as I stopped it, I heard it. Fucking shit. I know you guys heard that. I hope I caught that. Did you hear it? Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm scared. Okay, I'm gonna turn. Look, nobody's up here. Oh my god. Look at his door is closed. Oh my god. Nope. I gotta tell my daughter, boo boo. Oh my god. There's water in my eyes. Oh my god. Why does it sound like, and I recorded it. It sounds like somebody's in your brother's room. And I went up there to show that the door was closed. Tell me why his door opened when I went up there. I swear. I ran down here by myself. I'm recording it. Come up there with me to show them nobody's here. Oh my god. That made my eyes water, you guys. I showed it on camera. My son is not home. I'm not going to stop the recording just so I can show you guys. That's scary. I know, I ran down here. I ran down here so fast. Okay. Oh my god, that scared me. And it sounds like somebody's walking around up there, and I got it on recording. Yes, hold me. Look at his door is moving. Okay, we're gonna go up there and I'm gonna show you guys nobody is in his room. He is not here. Turn your flashlight on. Oh my god. Hurry up and come up here so you can point it to show nobody's in the room. Look. Look. Nobody's in here. Nobody. You guys literally, you seen that in real time with me. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. Oh no. I told you guys. And there's been that mimic. And my daughter has heard it when I'm not here. It says my name, or it says her name in my voice when I'm not here. And it says my name in her voice when I'm not here. And, or when she's not here. And now that's happening. Look at my dog. Well, fuck no, I'm done. I'm not coming under the side of the house no more. Oh my god.
This is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, and I wasn't even planning on making a video today, but I feel like I need to get out of my system because I have been welling up with tears and having full body chills from being scared. If you know me in real life, that never happens to me, so I feel like I just need to get out of my system. So this is that story. This happened 4 years ago. I was a freshman in college and I was talking to this boy at the time, and he caught me when I was coming home for the weekend from college, and he asked if he could take me stargazing. I say yes. He picks me up. It's maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. He drives me to the state park specifically because I had never been before. And specific to note about this state park next to my hometown, it isn't, when I say in the middle of nowhere, I legitimately mean in the middle of nowhere. The closest gas station is like multiple miles away. Nobody lives near there. Yeah, you get the gist. So we get there. He originally parks in front of this watchtower. We're walking up the watchtower. Something to note about me. You're gonna learn about two of my fears today. I am afraid of heights. The tower starts shaking from the small amount of wind, and I immediately am like, hey, I don't like this. We're about halfway up. I don't like this. Let's go down. So he's like, okay, I actually thought you might be scared, so I have an alternate way for us to go look at the stars, but we have to walk through the woods. Usually, and before I get any comments about that, I know, okay? I know. The only reason why I went is because he was like, it's like a minute and a half through the woods. Perfect. A minute and a half. No worries. I shouldn't have listened to him because it was a 10-minute walk, if not more. It is so dark in those effing woods that you cannot even see your hand in front of your face. I'm walking through the woods. I'm doing fine. My other fear is the dark. Okay, I'm a full-grown woman. I am exponentially scared of the dark. Like, unrealistically scared of the dark. We're walking, we hit a fence, and not just any fence, a barbed wire fence. By this time, my eyes are fully adjusted in the dark, and out in the distance, I can see a barn. Right next to the barn, I see a big silo. And if you don't know what a silo is, it's just this big metal structure that holds corn where I'm from. A lot of farmers have them. And I immediately ask him, is this someone's land? He doesn't really answer me, and I'm like, no, seriously, is this someone's land? Because I'm not going to get shot tonight. Because where I'm from, they're not going to ask you on their 5 acres of land what you're doing on their land. They're just going to shoot you because they don't know who you are at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Or I guess what you are. So finally he tells me it's someone's land, and I'm like, I'm not trespassing on someone's land. Like, no thanks. 3 strikes and you're out. I've walked through the woods. I have tried to conquer my fear of heights, and I'm walking in the dark. No. This is no. So finally he's like, okay, fine. Like, we'll go back to the car and I'll drive you home. As we're walking, I don't know what it was. The hair on the back of my neck suddenly stood up. I start to feel like someone is watching me.